G'day trendsetters, I'm John with Gravel Cyclist and I'm coming to you today with part 2 of my full suspension gravel bike build. If you missed part 1, check it out, it's linked in the description below. Namely, this bike build is centered around the Niner MCR9 RDO full suspension frame. Undoubtedly, this bike build is going to piss off so many of the keyboard hero hater wankers who live in their mum's basement that it's not funny, so we're going to ignore their horse and moving on. Don't forget, if you don't like it, just don't buy it. Here is my gram scale. So, without further delay, let's bring in the suspension fork, which I'm going to unbox first, show you the details, and then weigh it, obviously. Here it is, the Fox 32 taper cast gravel fork. I featured this fork recently on the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel and website from my extensive coverage of Sea Otter 2022 out of Laguna Seca, California. So you can check that out, linked in the description below as well. So let's unbox the fork and examine it closely. Important to note, the huge steerer tube will be cut at some point. Before we weigh the fork, let's build the suspense a little bit and weigh the supplied through bolt, the Fox through bolt. 31.5, 32 grams. The moment you've all been waiting for, let's weigh the uncut Fox 32 taper cast fork. Okay, the weight is coming in at 1,284.5 grams. So to make it usable, you need to obviously add the through bolt, which if you do some math, you can save yourself a bit of thinking, but I'll do it for you. 1,316 grams. As you can see at the bottom of the fork, there's a good amount of structural material to help keep this part of the fork nice and stiff. This is obviously not an area where you want to have compliance or pliability or whatever you like to use. And you can see here, there is rebound adjust, fast and slow. Rebound adjustment is handled on the bottom end of the fork on the right side leg and is completely independent of the air pressure setting. So I'll be paying close attention to setup when I get this fork tuned for the future bike build. Now if we flip it around here, there we go, 32 taper cast. I think it's a very good looking fork as far as forks go. A lot of people aren't into this sort of technology, but that's their business, whatever. There you can see the Kashima coating. On the inside of the fork leg, very handy rider weight versus air pressure chart to obviously make this fork nice and easy to set up. This fork also comes in another color. This is obviously the black, shiny black finish. There's also an orange finish, which will certainly complement some bikes quite nicely. And a little advisory note, scan, remove, and ride. So I should probably pay attention to that, shouldn't I? And like on most suspensions forks, there's a little rubber O-ring here that's helpful to determine where your sag is set and so on. Now hopefully you can see in this perspective, the brace part of the fork, there's a good chunk of material that's not present. And likewise, material's been lopped away in the design, so that helps keep the weight down obviously. And also you've got some nice relieving of material here as well. So they've obviously done some work, Fox, to chop away some weight on this particular fork. And here are the controls of the fork with 3 settings for you to see: open, medium, and firm. And you can also adjust it further with this little dial on top here. And on the other side of the fork, remove this cap, and this is where you set your air pressure. There it is right there. Also included with the fork is the tuning guide, very important. We'll cover that when we set the bike up and so on, but you've got obviously details about setting the sag and so on. There's the suggested rider weights and PSI settings. Again, that's repeated on the fork. There is the rebound adjustment dial and compression adjustments. Plenty of tuning for this particular fork. And final page of the manual talks about clip-on volume spacers. Here they are, they're included with the fork. Also included, star spangled nut for installing into the steerer tube. And a few more things: fork owner's guide, Fox sticker, and cable guides and fixing bolts. So there you have it, my part 2 video of what could be the ultimate full suspension gravel bike. Stay tuned for part 3, where I hope to reveal some of the drivetrain parts, and believe me, if all of the stars align, this drivetrain is going to be a pretty spicy little project bike. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel for interesting content such as this. No bullshit-rama gravel bike reviews, other product reviews, ride experience videos, and general madness. As all of it is released to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.